Hey everybody, what's going on? Kio-chan here, and welcome to another Saturday on MissionOtaku. As you guys know, we've been talking about packaging, as well as our preferences with anime box sets and manga format. We're going to start this discussion with anime box sets. As you guys are aware, there are many different varieties of box sets available today. There's those jumbo ones produced by NIS America, the thin packs, the chipboard box sets, and the single volume releases, just to name a few. So we're going to start with the single pack variety. This is a negative example of a single pack. Now overall, I do like the size of them, I do like how they're packaged on the outside, I like how it looks on a shelf, but the inside of this particular release is a negative, and I'll show you guys what I mean. Okay. First off, I don't like the fact that the DVDs are piled on top of each other. It's not user-friendly, it makes it very difficult to get the disc that you want. You gotta play around with the discs as you're taking them in and out of your DVD player, and I don't know if it's gonna do it. Okay, it did it this time. The DVDs in here are very loosely packed, and that means you run the risk of them getting scratched and unreadable by your DVD player. I don't really like this particular kind of snap. They don't really hold your disc sometimes, so that is a negative example for the single pack variety. Now we're going to move on to a good example. This is the Naruto Shippuden release from Viz. I do like how these are packaged. They are done with each DVD in its own case, and I love this flip mechanism. I love that. So you can put multiple DVDs in here and it doesn't seem overcrowded with DVDs. So I like these, and I also like the save editions for the very same reason. They had that flip, and each disc is in its own casing. So it's not like everything on top of each other, everything's loose. So I like these types of single volumes. The only problem is, especially with a longer series, is single volumes will take up a lot of room. And I ran into that problem when I first started collecting Naruto. I always got the single volumes, and that's one disc, I think, and there was like, I don't know, 30 something of these that I had in there, so those do take up room, but the way they do it nowadays, I think it's much better than the old days. Moving on to bigger box sets. First up is the Geneon Cardcaptor Sakura release. I don't like these slipcovers. I've never been a fan of slipcovers for two reasons. One, they get beat up really easily, and second of all, it's sometimes difficult to get the DVDs back into the slipcover. So this is the actual box set. I thought it was a cute idea to make this into like a book, but it does have some negatives. First off, it does feel a little bit flimsy, especially here at the connecting point. I think that may come apart one day. And when it comes to these pages, sometimes I have to fight with it. So I kind of like how it's put together, but at the same time it's not one of my favorites. I actually prefer this type over the next one that I'm going to show you that's of a similar variety. As far as size goes, it's the size of two single volumes, so I don't particularly mind the size. If you're going to get a box set that has multiple discs in it and it's about like this is probably the best way to go. Then we got Bleach. I don't like the way that this Bleach volume was released. Once again, there's the slipcover. This is better quality than some, but it still gets beat up, as you guys can see here. It gets beat up all the time, and that starts to look really bad on your shelf. This was put together really badly. It's very flimsy, especially with this cover here. I think this is going to fall off pretty soon. I once again like the fact that each case has one disc on it. I do like that, but like I said, this feels like very cheap quality, and I'm just kind of afraid that it's gonna break one day. So I don't particularly like the way that this one was done. I prefer the way that Genyon did it with Cardcaptor Sakura. Now we're going to move on to another variety of box set. First, the bad example. This is the remastered edition of Dragon Ball Z from Funimation. Once again, slipcovers, bad. This one is actually flimsier than some of the other ones, so that makes it even worse. Now first we have the format. I don't mind the format, that it flips out like this. Now just to mention, I think it was Britt that said this before, but usually this type of format is a dead giveaway for a bootleg. But some companies like Viz and Funimation have a habit of doing it like this, so it has become a bit more acceptable to see it. But I don't like the fact, once again, that the DVDs are stacked on top of each other. Once again, it's not user-friendly. It makes it very difficult to get to the disc that you want. You gotta shuffle things around as you're watching them. These things are secure, though. I will say that. But it's not my favorite type of packaging like this. Next, we're going to go to the good example of that variety of box set. This is the Naruto box set, Volume 7. I do like this one. The quality of the slipcase is better than the Funimation release. And just know, I beat this up a lot because I watch these particular episodes a lot. So this one has definitely gotten a workout, and it's not that worse for wear, so quality's much better. Once again, it flips out, but I don't mind this. I don't really mind this. Once again, each disc has its own home, and nothing's on top of each other, so I really do like this particular type for this kind of release. So, good example. Not my favorite type of box set, like I mentioned before. I do like the single packs, but if you're gonna do it like, you know, a flip or some kind of thing like that, I do like these. Once again, the size isn't too bad, so it doesn't take up too much room. So this is an acceptable release. Okay, next we have the Anime Legends releases. I do like them. They do seem a bit bigger than necessary. I think they could make these a little bit smaller. About the same size as a single pack. I really think that it would be okay to do it this way. It is a bit thicker. So I would think these would be better if they were condensed a little bit more. I do like, once again, I do like this flip mechanism. I like the fact that each disc has its own home. It's somewhat secure. I don't particularly like that kind of thing either, because sometimes those break. So those aren't the most reliable types of clips for your DVDs. So this is an okay type of box set, but I prefer single volumes over anything else. Next, we got a paper thin back. Don't like these much. Once again, they get beat up a lot. I don't know if you guys can see that. It gets beat up. I don't mind these thin DVDs. I don't really mind these, but make these slipcovers a better quality. That would make it much better for me. Everyone keeps saying that it doesn't really look good on a shelf. I guess it depends on the series, because I wouldn't mind seeing this on a shelf. You know, some of them may look kind of bad on a shelf, but I think this one would look good. So, if you made the slipcover a better quality, and you make sure that your spine looks pretty good, I think this would be another favorite of mine. They do save room on your shelf or in your cabinet, wherever you keep your DVDs. So, I do like these, but at the same time I don't, because of the cheap quality of the slipcover. Next we have another two types of thin packs. The Naruto box set 4 and the Fullmetal Fumufu box set. If I'm gonna get a box set like this, I prefer this one. Whoops, sorry about that. Chipboard box set. I love these. They stand up to stress better than the paper ones. and everything fits in here nicely. I don't have to fight with anything. It just works. So I do like the chipboard. They may be more expensive for people to make, but they're better quality, and I do prefer these. I don't like the paper. I don't like the paper. It's cheap. It gets beat up. It just not good quality. Not good. But I do like the size. I like the size. I just don't like the outside packaging. That's the only issue I have with these. Bigger box sets. I guess this would technically be a thin pack. And here's a normal one. I don't like these very much either. This would have been better as a thin pack. These are unnecessarily bulky. So I would rather deal with a thin pack for all the DVDs than something like this. I really do like art boxes. They're really nice to look at. So I do like art boxes. As long as at least one side looks good. Either the spine or the inside, like this. As long as something looks nice, I wouldn't mind it at all. And lastly, when it comes to DVD box sets, is NIS Americas. Now these box sets are gigantic. They take up room, but you know what? They're pretty awesome quality. And you really get a lot of bang for your buck. Chipboard. You get these art books in here, and you get thin pack DVDs. Only problem is sometimes it's annoying to put these things back in here, because sometimes you gotta put the book in first, and then you gotta put the DVDs in, because sometimes they like to, you know, go together. So that's the only issue with that. But I do like these. It's just that they take up so much room. I have a couple of them, and it's really hard to find homes for them. But I do like these in principle. But my overall favorite when it comes to anime box sets is the single volumes or the chipboard thin packs. Those are my top favorites when it comes to anime box sets. Now let's move on to manga. Manga is another one that comes in so many different sizes. First, we're going to talk about single volumes, not collections. I got 3 different sizes here. I got the Kio-chan release, which is the same size as 20th Century Boys, Pluto, and I think a couple others. I just can't think of the titles off the top of my head. This is an okay size. It's a bit bigger. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's a bit bigger than a normal size manga. So that's okay. But I think I would rather deal with this size. The normal size for manga if you're going to go for a single volume. There's also volumes that come out in this size, and they're smaller, a bit smaller than the regular, as you guys can see that. So these are okay sizes. The problem is when you have a large collection like I do and you have all these different sizes of manga, it really becomes a hassle to try to organize them in a way that benefits your space. Because my top shelf is where all my odd size manga goes, and it's really crazy with all the different ones. There's like, you know, gaps here and there, and it really becomes a pain. But if I'm going to deal with the size, I would rather deal with the regular size manga. Overall, would I prefer a collection over a single volume? I prefer the single volumes. They're easier to hold, but the one drawback is, especially if it's a long series, they take up a lot of room. I chose to go the way of the Bizbag for Dragon Ball Z and Rurouni Kenshin because it would take up less room. They are uncomfortable to hold, but I'm willing to deal with that for the space that I'm able to save by not having so many single volumes. If I had waited on Inuyasha, I probably would have done that for them too, because Inuyasha has 56 volumes, I think, and the Bizbig versions of it's like 16. So I much rather have gone with the Bizbigs than the actual volumes if I had waited, but I didn't, so my problem. But like I said, these are difficult to hold. It's really uncomfortable in your hands. These are the perfect size. Absolutely perfect. So those are my thoughts on the sizes of manga and the different types of box sets. I hope that all made sense. I think I was rambling a little bit, as usual, but that's what I think of it. Tomorrow we're going to find out what our next mission is, and that is all for me this week. I'll be back next week with our next mission, and I'll see you guys then. Have a good day!